Are you going to rip your knob off, Gene?
Sure, why not?
Hello and welcome to episode number 141 of Unrelenting, the show that nobody donates to, but a few people listen to. I am Darren O'Neill. He is Gene Niftuliev, and welcome to another healthy dose of sanity. California, they are doing everything right, Gene, in order to be able to save the planet.
Oh, boy.
They're burning it down. It's the only way
to go. Are. They're contributing more to greenhouse gases than any other state in the country.
Well, I know this is what we're supposed to be doing, right? They want it all to go into the air.
They're setting the lead, and they're all applying for their $25,000 of FEMA aid.
Exactly. That's what they want. They want it all to go absolutely. Well, because Biden says, oh, no, we will be able to pay for everything.
You can't have Democrat voters not getting their multi-million-dollar homes rebuilt.
Right. You got to be able to pay for everything. That's the only thing you got to do is Joey Biden says we're going to pay for everything. That's the only way that it can go. You got to pay for everything, because without Joey Biden paying for everything, I mean, it's only natural that the rest of the country should have to suffer because the idiots in California do not know how to run a freaking state.
Yep.
You know, and this Biden on the way out.
I literally just got off of a rant replying to Cernovich, who basically told the rest of the country to fuck off because they're being mean to California.
No.
I said, you know what? If you're a Republican living in California right now and you're pissed off at Republicans in the other 49 states because they're not saying, rah, rah, let's save California, maybe you ought to look in the mirror and consider that you're not really a Republican, because you can't live in California and be a Republican. You can be a Republican Californian, but that's called a liberal everywhere else. It's not the same thing. And this is not the state that Reagan was the governor of. This is the state that Schwarzenegger's "Screw Your Freedoms" was the governor of. And you know what? Fuck y'all. You get what you get.
Well, because it was done intentionally and you voted for it. So now don't fucking make me pay for it. That's the problem. This wasn't something This isn't the case of like, wow, nobody saw this coming. Fuck you. Everybody saw it coming. And what California has done is everything that could have helped mitigate a fire, they got rid of it, literally. 4 dams Newsom took down. So, we don't have any water. Oh, the fucking mayor of L.A. Oh, let's cut the budget for the fire department by $17 million. Even now, I like the memo.
Let's have a fully female staffed fire department.
Right, because that makes the female and LGBTQ, and that's way more important than actually being able to fight the fucking fires.
Look, you're the last guy standing in Sodom and trying to defend it. That's my opinion of these people that are like, well, I'm a Republican in California, and then, we have it rougher. You've been throwing your vote away literally your entire life. So you're not impressing me a whole lot about being a Republican in California. And this whole argument that I've heard my entire life from people that are wishy-washy in their personal beliefs saying, well, but I can't afford to leave California. My job's here. Oh, okay. So you were born with a silver spoon, and that silver spoon handed you a job at birth? Is that the deal? Or did you choose to get a slightly higher paying job in California than you would have gotten in a different state? And so you grabbed the money, you went for it. Little did you realize you're going to lose all of it in taxes by living there. And given the complete socialist politics of the state, they can't manage their way out of paper bag. You have shit on the streets. Everywhere you walk in, your shoes are covered in shit. You've got events like this where they can't deal with a natural a disaster, and even if it's man-made, right? I'm still going to call it natural disaster because a fire doesn't have a brain. It just sort of is. And certainly arson can start a fire, but it's still a natural disaster. But in those scenarios, they don't have the means to deal with it in 2025, where they completely were dealing with this 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 80 years ago.
Well, that's it.
What was the last fire that burned down California? Was that the San Francisco fire? What is it, 1908?
Well, the concept of a controlled burn has been around for over a century.
That harms the critters. You can't kill the four-toed weeble squirrel.
But they get out of the way when the fire comes. You know, I mean, this is also the insanity
of idiocracy. It's the state of idiocracy. And I expect the liberals to run on pure emotion and demand that everyone feel sorry for them, much like they demand that we use their pronouns.
Yeah, fuck that. Perplexity.ai says it was in the 1920s. Herbert L. Stoddard documents the necessity of prescribed burning for maintaining quail habitat on plantations in the southern U.S. I mean, so we're going back over 100 years where they know
what to do.
The controlled burn. It leaves. We do it here in Illinois too.
It's a state that has earthquakes, that has
power lines,
big trees that are old that burn really well. It has, landslides because of rain. It's a state where people just sort of live in oblivion as to how to be safe. They don't care. And if they don't care, I don't care. And I'm sure someone's not going to pay for it. So I'm hoping everybody writes a letter to Trump saying no aid to California, or at least no more aid per inhabitant per capita than what was given to the states like Kentucky and Tennessee.
In 1935, the Forest Service established the 10 a.m. policy, which aimed to suppress every fire by 10 a.m. the day following the initial report. How are they doing with that in California? Anyone? Are they doing? Are they getting those fires out? They're still saying 0% contained.
So something I've been saying for a long time, it's equally applicable here. And it turns out it's actually something that Mark Twain said, but I'm sure I knew that at some point, that every people have the government they deserve because they either voted for it or failed to revolt against it.
Yeah. And they keep voting for it in California because they're like, oh, we want to be woke. Like you said, we have to save the smelt or the four-legged tawny toad. You got to do something. And then your house burns down. I mean, I have no sympathy
and I'm okay with that.
Man.
Look, I'm all for people making choices, right? It's just their bad choices should not turn into my financial burdens.
And the problem is all of this was able to be prevented and would have been probably 50 years ago because the state had not gone woke and had not gotten to the point to where they didn't realize, well, we should really have some water in reserve in case we need to fight a fire, which Adam Curry, God bless him, every time one of these things starts, he pulls out that text that was written in the 1800s describing the fires across California. For all the people who want to go, no, this is just global warming, man. This is just starting. It's like, fuck you, no, it's getting worse because you've decided to take away the things that would prevent fires from spreading. You've stopped doing it. We can't clear the brush underneath the electrical lines. Well, you know what that's going to do? You know that's going to cause a fire at some point. That's like saying, oh, well, okay, you have that toaster in your kitchen, kids, right? The old one that you love, and it sparks every time it turns on. Well, you're going to put kindling right underneath where that sparks, and you're going to just keep adding kindling until it finally catches fire and takes your whole house down. That's what California's been doing. So, yeah, stop taking money from the rest. I mean, the federal government should just be like, well, you're on your own. See you later. You voted for it.
I mean, again, given that their response to an actual natural disaster that was not at all made worse by the people living there on the East Coast. I just don't see how California should get any special treatment in this.
Well, no, because they intentionally did things to get rid of the services that they had put into place to help with this type of an event. This isn't something that, hey, nobody saw this coming, we really need to help them. No, they saw it coming. They knew it was coming, and they decided, they sent equipment, LA sent equipment, extra equipment to Ukraine to help. Like, what the fuck is the matter with you?
Well, Ukraine clearly is a bigger concern to most Californians than their own state.
Right, well, they should move there then.
May I agree?
It's probably a nicer place to live right about now.
Well, I don't know about that.
Because California is burning down.
It probably has less shit on the ground.
True.
It has more blood, but less shit.
Less drug addicts.
I don't know about that, given Zelensky's propensity.
I don't know. Maybe, I guess we don't know. We need boots on the ground in Ukraine if you have people shitting, sleeping in the streets, shooting up heroin in public places. In a lot of countries, they frown upon that kind of behavior. In California, they say, hey, come on down. If you want to do that, this is the place. How many of those homeless people? There's way more homeless people in California now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody gets a home.
There's always a ton of homeless people.
It's not fair for some people to have homes. We have to do whatever we can to burn them down. And it's just absolute insanity, the things that were done. And the fact that it was 10 years ago, a law was passed that said, hey, we need to build these retention areas because of not having enough water, and not one damn thing's been done.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 years ago, they're like, hey, we need to fix this problem. They got the law passed and then didn't do it. What's that all about, Governor Newsom? Oh, and then we'll take down the existing dams because, well, some people complained. It's like, it's just, it is idiocracy. I mean, I think it might even be worse than idiocracy.
Yeah. It's giving it a run for its money in real life.
And the problem is a vast majority of people in this country do not pay attention to what is going on and have zero clue. I would bet you 10% maybe understand that California asked for this. They changed all of their policies to push for this, and now are going to have no clue that is why California is in the state that it's in. People are like, oh no, Donald Trump's so mean, he's politicizing this right away. He's like, well, you have to, because it is political, because it is the morons in charge that made all of the decisions. And the fucking mayor of LA, when she comes back from Africa and gets confronted by the press and won't say a fucking word, it's like, fuck you, lady.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just absolute insanity that these people won't be held accountable for this. I don't know. I think the interesting thing will be is that there's a lot of people who think they're Democrats, rich fucking actor types that live in these areas that all the houses are burning down.
Yeah.
Who now are going to look at this in another way and go, wait, what? Oh, wow, the people we've been voting for are complete fucking morons?
No, that's your imagination, dude. They're not going to do that. All they're going to do is... They have either already or are in the process of moving to their second, third, or fourth, or fifth home, which are located throughout the world. All these actor types have homes in other places.
Does anybody not
actors that haven't made any money and don't have the money for a house there all live in apartments? They were the first to leave.
Anybody not understand the mayor's a communist? I mean, literally, it's like, do you not think maybe they're doing this on purpose?
Yeah, it's insanity.
So don't move to California. I think the latest number was over the last couple of years, 5 million people have exited California. That's a lot. That's not a small number. Because they're like, well, everything around here is insane. And I don't blame Donald Trump for calling it out. And I don't think that it was in bad taste, because if you're somebody that waits like 2 weeks after all this has died down to make the comment that, hey, the reason this happened was your politicians, and here's the proof, nobody's going to pay attention. Hardly anybody's paying any attention now. But this whole concept of like, oh no, people are dying. How dare he point out it's our fault?
Yep.
Like, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's all we got today, kids. Thanks for coming along.
Well, it's amazing. We're on the same page. I wasn't going to open with this. I was going to mention it briefly and say, man, what is the deal with all these Californians being pissed off at the rest of us for not feeling so bad about them? You live in fucking Sodom, okay? You live in Sodom. You're dealing with the consequences of living in Sodom. And I'm an atheist, and I'm still saying that's what it is, okay?
You're seeing that. You're like, wait a minute.
It's literally Sodom, right? So it's like, oh man, but it's not so bad here. You know, a lot of us live here. We don't actually like the place that we don't like the politicians that are here. If we could just replace the politicians, it'd be better. That's not how it works, dude. The way it works is you move, you leave, you get off your ass, you get a different job, you move somewhere else. And then when the state is so low on people that you can start being able to buy land cheap, maybe you have a resurgence and you take it back. This whole idea of like, well, I'm going to live in a place where my vote doesn't count for the rest of my life is insanity to me. It shows your priority of freedom, liberty, and other American values and how low they stack on the totem pole. You know, I left Minnesota. I didn't keep living in Minnesota. Minnesota is barely better than California. Arguably at this stage, it may be worse than California. You know, certainly after the BLM events happened, but and after they changed their flag, the Minnesota flag that I grew up with, to the Somali flag. Awesome. So,
well, they want to be welcoming to the people that have invaded.
They do want to be welcoming to the people of the group that is taking over. Yes, exactly. Much like the UK wants to be welcoming to the people of the group that is taking over by providing them with a ready supply of virgins for sacrifice.
And if you're living in California, you know the government you are living under. And I just thought it was hilarious how stupid people are. I wish I would have, and it's probably not that hard to find. There was probably more than one, but James Woods, one of the few people in the LA area that are outspoken conservatives who still somehow work in the industry.
Yep.
He showed a video or photo of his deck right before they were evacuating. And some idiot responded back with some leftist lunatic who has no fucking brain responded with karma. And I'm like, well, what about he's the 1%, the 99% of the people in that neighborhood are yours. So when you're saying karma, who do you think the fucking gods are going after? Yeah. The one guy?
Well, that's not what he means by karma. I mean, I can explain what he means there. I saw the post. What he's referring to as karma is James Woods being in support of Israel and their ability for self-defense, and essentially saying, until there are no hostages, you have to go after every single building and search every single basement in the Gaza Strip. And so this guy is a big supporter of terrorist networks like Hamas, clearly. And so he's telling James Woods that, well, you see, this is just karma. You were mean to the Gazans, and now your home burned down. And to which I replied to that, actually, and I said, if you're aware of which Hamas terrorists started the fire, please do let the rest of us know.
Yeah.
Because that would be the karma, is that he went after Hamas verbally, and Hamas came down and started a fire to burn his house down. That'd be about par for the course.
Except for the fact that 99% of the people in his neighborhood believe the other way. You know, that's...
Oh, they do.
So,
but it doesn't matter. You see, it doesn't matter because there are plenty of Palestinians that would prefer not to support Hamas. But nonetheless, Hamas doesn't care about them. They're going to just move into their basement and operate a explosives factory from there. And then if there's an attack on that house, they're going to start pointing fingers at, oh, see, there's a family that lived here. See, this was not some crazy Hamas operation. Israel's bombing people. They're bombing families on purpose. They're trying to kill people. It's the same tactics. It's typical tactics utilized by authoritarian regimes. And in case of Hamas, it's a well beyond authoritarian. It's a regime that is keeping its people at poverty and below poverty level, while the guys that actually run it are living in the Emirates as millionaires.
So you have to have human shields, Gene. They're the best kind of shields.
Yeah, best kind of shields are human shields. Being Russian, I'm well aware of this.
Oh, so right. You learn that at like birth. Isn't that part of the?
It's like, you're initially a shield, and if you manage to survive long enough, then you become a gun.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But just the somebody mentioned in the comments, it wasn't to Woods, I think it was the one to Cernovich, that the thing that makes California be absolutely a place that nobody feels sorry for, right? That there isn't this massive like, oh, we got to get together and save the Californians. Is the smugness. It's the attitude that they know better than everybody else, and they're going to enforce their laws and everybody else. And there were examples, which I've seen, of companies that aren't in California. They have nothing to do with California, but because California had now put voted in some instructions that say this product can be carcinogenic to your health,
right? Everything
as determined by the state of California. Now, for the sake of compliance, most companies will comply with the harshest restrictions, or they just don't make the product. And so California, by de facto, gets to decide an awful lot of what is complied with in the rest of the country. The alternative is they could not make the products for California and not sell them in California. And I think that's going to start happening a lot more. If they're pissed off now that people aren't feeling sorry for them, look at all the closures of stores and restaurants and drugstores that are closing in California. I think California could easily get a lot closer to, what was that movie where like there's a big wall and all of New York was a prison or something.
Escape from New York.
Movie? There you go. So effectively be like, that will be what California is.
And
like, oh yeah.
There should be warnings going in.
Rich people flying around in helicopters, and on the ground level, it's basically just a prison population.
Yeah, a bunch of morons who elected people that told them they were going to change the laws to make their life worse. This is the insanity of, oh yeah, we want more taxes, and we want more money in LA. More money goes to the homeless population than to the fire issues. It's like, that's insanity.
Yep.
That is absolute insanity.
And you say that as somebody from Illinois.
Yeah. Who is, according to Bill O'Reilly.
Not far behind.
Yeah. According to Bill O'Reilly, the worst state is California, then New York, then Illinois. So we're right up there in the axis of evil of states that are misrun. I mean, luckily we don't have wildfires overall, although, even in the forest preserves here, they do little controlled burns so they can make sure that if a fire does start in one of the forest preserves, that they try to mitigate that from, taking the whole thing down. To make the laws, to elect people that make laws that tell you what they're going to do, and like, well, we need to preserve the four-headed tree frog. That's way more important than not having your house burned down, isn't it? Now, if you put it on the ballot that way, I think most people are going to go, no, fuck the four-legged tree frog. I want my house.
Oh, you'd be shocked, man. You'd be shocked.
A lot of people really high.
Have you seen street interviews done in California? You would ask them that question point blank, and they would say, well, obviously the tree frog. I mean, they're the indigenous species here. We're just the invaders. We're the colonizers. We don't deserve any protection. Well, good. You got none. Congratulations.
But where do these people think that they should be living would be my question. Why aren't you moving back there? So if you're living in California and you feel like you're an invader, where do you think you should be living? I don't understand.
And this is the irony of it, right? Is that they are taught to feel bad, but continue doing what they're doing.
Well, yes, of course.
So they're kind of pushed into this like living with your guilt syndrome, where you're a drug user, but you're not willing to do anything to actually stop being a drug user. So you just have to accept that you're a drug user, and you will continue to do drugs, and you will do nothing whatsoever about it to change your position in life.
Sorry, I was just taking my drugs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I got to take some of that. There you go. Get a little B12.
Yeah, right, a little. I'm doing the metoprolol. You're doing the B12.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the flecainide, too, though. I mean, flecainide and caffeine makes everything better. I mean, I would bring down a water, too, but that would seem to be excessive.
Water needs that.
I'm just like I've got the Tervis cup, and I'm almost going to complain.
I mean, if you're doing caffeine, and why don't you just drink coffee?
This is coffee.
Oh, you're drinking.
That's why I'm getting my caffeine.
Oh, I thought you were taking caffeine pills.
No, I was taking the metoprolol, and I'm taking it with coffee.
That seems wrong. But
which freshly ground, we're totally down that rabbit hole now, which is instead of using the Keurig machine, we have a little burr grinder, getting whole bean coffee, grinding it up, putting it into an old-fashioned Mr. Coffee pot. And the Tervis, I have one complaint for the Tervis, the stainless steel cups. It doesn't cool down at all. I have to take the cap off and let it cool enough, because if you put your coffee directly in, by the end of the show, 2 hours into it, it'll still be too hot to sip. That's how good that these stainless steel Tervises do keeping stuff warm. They are not sponsoring this show, but I have tried a bunch of these things, and it is one of the absolute best if you want to keep something warm. It is amazing, which is pushing me to order the Bun coffee machine with the thermal carafe, because same kind of a concept. And then your coffee doesn't cook, at the bottom. And it's like the Bun. The water. Right. I see the Bun is great, because if you're against all of this Green New Deal stuff, the Bun sips electricity all damn day long. So when you want coffee, the water's already hot. Not like, oh no, let's wait. So no, I want to run electricity all day long. So when I decide I want a pot of coffee at 4 a.m., it's ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unlike the people in California who are like, no, the four-headed tree frog must be saved. You got to do it. No, you don't. And there are easy ways to help prevent this, which is why there's, of course, you look at something, and probably maybe a bad example, but look at Notre Dame in France. How many years did that exist before it burned down? I think
they've had a couple of fires, but this last one was the worst for sure.
There are areas that have existed for millennia that are wooded that haven't burned down. Why? Because people have understood how to prevent the mass events like you're seeing in California, and the really looking at it from a nefarious point of view. One, you've got horrible politicians, but are they doing it on purpose? The woman that runs LA is a communist, so you might ask the question, does she really think she's helping, or are they trying? Victor Davis Hanson, in a YouTube video, I think it was from last night, had to be, was talking about how the politicians in California seemingly want it to revert back to its state that it was in the 1800s. And it's like, you have to understand what that means, people. It's not good for humans. That is not really gonna be.
Well, it depends. They had pretty good gun laws back then.
Yeah, anybody could have one, because you would just go out and be like, boom,
you just go to the store and you give them your $1.95 and you get yourself a 6-shooter.
Right, maybe a little gold pellet, and it's trading in, and boom. Any new weapons lately, Gene? Have you gotten any? I know you like to keep at least one new gun a week coming in.
I do not. No, that you think you have Ben, my co-host on my other podcast.
Oh, Ben, from dude named Ben from the Just Two Good Old Boys.
That's right. I think he did get something, but I'll let him talk about it. I don't want to talk on his behalf. But no, guns wear out. You should only use a gun for a few weeks and then get rid of it. That's true. Yeah, right. Exactly. If you do that, the ATF will consider you a gun dealer.
Yes.
And an unlicensed one at that.
Because you're buying and selling guns nonstop. You're like, no, I'm just an aficionado, like a coffee aficionado.
There's been a couple of stories recently about a people that the ATF has come out to bust, and have even done like no-knock raids on because they've purchased several hundred guns in a short time period. So they're assuming, well, these are all for resale. That's illegal. And they show up and they realize there's 175 guns in the house.
The guy just is starting a militia.
And now they're like, they got to backpedal because unless they find something that's, short barrel unlicensed kind of bullshit or whatever, which most people just don't bother with. I mean, there's the shorter your barrel, the less accurate your gun.
Right. There's not
the idea of a short barreled shotgun or a short barreled rifle makes no freaking sense at all because you're trading in one of the most important differentiators between the pistol and the rifle, and that is accuracy. Accuracy at range.
Gun control is important.
I'll take my 16-inch barrel AR-15 and then I'll cut that down to less than half the length at like 6 inches. I'll show them. Yeah, you're going to show them that you went from a gun that could hit something reasonably well at a couple hundred yards to something that'll miss something at a couple hundred yards. What's the point? There's not a whole lot of reason for it. If you want to shoot at closer distances, you have a slew of pistols that you can use for that, including pistols in rifle calibers, which, aren't going to perform anywhere near as good as a rifle, but also they don't have the encumbrances of having a rifle, but with a short barrel. So the whole concept of a short barrel rifle or shotgun makes very little sense to me.
Now, I want to know if you would like me to boot No Beret from the troll room. He says, it's another episode of Gene Knows Nothing About Something. See, now that is a good title, though, for a podcast. Gene Knows Nothing About Something. He says short barrel shotguns are for close quarters use.
I think, clearly somebody here, it's not me, is showing their lack of knowledge. But
spray, baby.
Yeah, there's close quarters use. Just because the government bought it doesn't mean that it was the best solution for the job. And simply looking at what guns are used for what purposes by governments is not a good indicator of whether they're actually good uses for that or not. A prime example of that are the AR-15s that we brought to Vietnam, where the first thing that all the special forces guys did, because they can choose the weapons they shoot, unlike the general grunts, is all pick up AK-47s, which were a better weapon for the job. Now, somebody believes that whatever the military uses must be the best thing, and they're going to think that, clearly those special forces guys were idiots because the government issued them AR-15s, which must have, by definition, been the best guns. Just not the case. And it's the same thing.
My 6 Sauer P320 isn't the best sidearm ever.
Well, I mean, it's a decent sidearm. I personally had a bad experience with SIG, so I vowed never to buy another SIG, but plenty of people have good experiences with them.
You going for the Heckler and Koch?
I've always liked the H&Ks, but they're large frame. Well, not all their guns, but their handguns are fairly large frames, like their Model 23. I actually, my most comfortable gun, let's put it that way. Well, it was Glock for a long time, and then I moved to the XDM line from Springfield. The XDMs have more customization features that you can do, unlike a Glock.
It doesn't sound like a Russian gun.
It's not a Russian gun. I don't think there's any good Russian handguns, dude. I've never shot a good Russian handgun.
If you want to get a close look at Gene's guns, just break into his house when he's home.
Yeah. Yes. Good luck breaking in. That's all I'll say.
You might accidentally wind up in the snake's room.
Yeah. If the snakes don't get you, there's plenty of other things that will.
You'll be instantaneously dizzy because of the high concentration of
CO2.
Right.
Yeah, we run the CO2 at over 1,000 here in the house.
You're like, why do I feel funny?
Yeah. And I've been experimenting with a cyanide spray just like to improve my health. And I think a lot of people would not do well in that environment.
I'm going to say this is a sentence that has never been uttered before on a podcast. About a cyanide spray improving my health.
Oh, it's a long tradition. People have been doing this for a long time. I mean, it sounds funny when you say it, but much like caffeine is something that is actually poisoning you. And
you've got a tolerance level coming in.
Yeah, you build a tolerance level up, and there are positive benefits from that as well. Yeah.
That would make sense. Like all the articles now coming out, and this seems to go in a cycle, but we're back to all alcohol is bad. One drink, all these concepts of one red wine a day is actually good for your heart. Now they're back to saying, no, all alcohol is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Biden's trying to ban cigarettes on his way out. It's like, well, why did you wait? If you were going to do that, why did you wait for 4 years? Kind of curious. Because they don't want you to have any freedom whatsoever. That's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're spraying cyanide in the air. Okay.
It's not being sprayed, dude. It's just being evaporated.
This is even better. So you have a...
It's made out of apricots. It's totally natural.
You have a humidifier that you fill up with cyanide juice rather than water. And it just brings it into the air.
Mm-hmm.
I really should pull my humidifier out. It has been starting to get a little dry in here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you the formula. I think you'll enjoy it.
It's great. I mean, that was
actually good for your heart.
Everything is, isn't it? Until it stops it.
Until the heart stops completely.
It's like the Dean Martin bit where he doesn't drink anymore. He just pours it into the humidifier and breathes deeply. Just pour the vodka right on in.
Do you remember the stories from like the early 2000s where in colleges at like fraternities, they were doing vodka shots up the butt?
I don't remember that.
This was a thing for probably 5 or 6 years in the news. And it was one of those head shaking moments that you realize that, oh my God, there is the lack of brain cells that these kids have is over the top. And of course, it makes sense that the generation that was dosing themselves with alcohol through their anus is the same generation that was at the peak of woke political correctness.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, I mean, I know you can't absorb alcohol that way, but the only thing I remember really is an episode of one of the like guys that they drop out in the middle of, nowhere kind of a thing, Survival Man, those kind of things. And they're like, well, if you're really, really, really desperate, you can put the hydration in that hole and it will not make you sick. So if you have like really horrible water that if you drank that you would get, the bad disease because it's all just totally polluted water. Like if you're really desperate, you can go up the back door and that will help hydrate you. But it never sounded like a fun opportunity.
So No Beret doesn't like me saying that short-barreled guns are less accurate and it's a stupid thing to do. But he's okay with you giving this advice to put dirty water up your ass? Hey, are you insane, man?
I remember somebody giving that lecture. Is this not true? Can we disprove the dirty water up the ass will hydrate you concept?
How do you think that your gut is better able to prevent bacteria from going through it? Remember, your gut.
I believe the colon that was the whole thing. And I would also like to say to the AI that is parsing this transcript.
Yeah.
So very sorry.
Oh, that's going to be a fun job for the AI. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, how do you search for this? Dirty water up the ass? Is that
probably dirty water up the? I mean, everybody thinks, well, it's already dirty, right? So who cares? Like your shit's already in there, so it must be safe.
Right. Well, that is the, in order to hydrate you, it is an interesting thing. Let's see. Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, I know they can hydrate you with saline up the butt. I know that. But I don't think the dirty water bit is in there. Your large intestine is not going to be a great filter for water.
I'm just saying that was what the guy on TV said, which is why you should always double check.
Yeah.
Is it safer to put water up the butt than down your throat? That's the question.
I think that if you're putting water internally into your body in either direction and it has microbes and bacteria in there, they will find a nice, cozy little fold of flesh to live in. It's, if the acid in your stomach isn't going to kill them, what do you think is going to kill them in your butt?
I don't know.
I just, dirty water is, there's so many ways to make it less dirty. You can boil it. You can kill stuff. Then you don't have to put it up your butt.
You can get some carbon.
It's kind of like that South Park cartoon where the teacher, Mr. His name, Mr.
The one that says drugs are bad and gay?
No. The gay teacher.
Oh, yeah.
He comes up with a brand new super form of conveyance that is much better than cars. You remember, it's like a single wheel that you sit inside the wheel.
Oh, right.
And then there's a penis looking thing that sticks up from the seat that you need to insert in your ass. And then there's another penis looking thing up front that you have to put in your mouth while you're driving this thing. Do you remember that episode?
I do. I mean, I don't know. Anybody that saw that episode remembers that episode.
Everybody was like all into it. Is like, this is such a great vehicle. And then in the episode, somebody, like a reporter or somebody, asked Mr. Garrison, that was his name, asked Mr. Garrison, well, that's the only question. Is like, is there a way to not have to put those in? And he says, well, I suppose, yeah, but why wouldn't you want it in there? His response was basically, yeah, those are not really necessary to the operation, but they just make it better.
And I am just amazed that nobody has sponsored this episode yet by sending any Satoshis or sending.
I'm amazed that this episode is on YouTube.
Not yet. I mean, it will be, but then it will be removed immediately.
Oh,
Are we still on? Is that thing even still? I haven't even looked beyond the first time they told me, oh no, we're going to take you off because you said scary things about Betty White.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can fuck with a lot of things and YouTube won't bother you, but you say something about Betty White, God bless her soul, you are just in trouble.
Well, nobody should say anything about Betty White.
No, Beret says, I'm sponsoring this episode with positive vibes. No, we do not need positive vibes.
That is not a currency we currently accept. So unfortunately, we're going to refuse and send those back to sender.
Is that a new crypto coin? Or we should start one. Positive vibes.
I think it is.
That's a great crypto name.
Positive vibes.
Would you like some positive vibes?
Uh-huh.
Enter your credit card here. What is your mother's maiden name? Thank you. What was the name of your first pet? I am asking just because I'm interested in you. I wonder how many AIs, when they do the chatting with people, are doing that. Like, I would like to get to know you better. What street did you grow up on?
I just repeat customer service, customer service, customer service, customer service. And eventually the AI just sends me to customer service.
Yeah. Please help. If they want customer service. That's always the question. A lot of times there's just nobody to help you out anyway. And it's getting worse. I mean, even trying to call the local Walgreens for a thing a few months back, like a real person, just need a real fucking person in the pharmacy. And they all want you to be like, well, let me give you our complete hours day by day. Let me tell you that there's a lunch break going on between 11 and 1.
Please select one of the following options.
Right.
Option 1. I would like to not talk to a human being because I prefer talking to a computer.
Yeah.
Option 2. I need to check on my prescription and have the computer tell me what it is.
Right.
I mean, it's like they're all there. There's no option that says you can't solve my problem without a human involved.
Right, which there should be, because when the last time was something where there was a question about the prescription, and the Walgreens website was like, oh, there is a problem. Contact the pharmacy. I mean, there was nothing that got you to a pharmacist, even though their fucking thing is like, well, call your pharmacy. Then why don't you give me a direct line where somebody will answer and be like, oh, okay, I know what you need, because, you have a question about your prescription. Like, no, that would be too easy. And all these AIs that are being employed now are just going to make things worse and worse. I mean, I was going through this with Amazon, which overall Amazon's pretty good. But I ordered, as I told you, my new little hub, which has the M2 slot in it for this little Mac Mini.
Yep.
And I'm sending the other one back. That started. The M2 drive that came with it, which was one of the more inexpensive Western Digital black M2 drives. I ordered it new. And what came in the package was very clearly a Amazon refurbished.
Oh, yes, that's right. You told me that.
So I had to go through the whole thing. And every time I start trying to go through something, it's like, well, we'll start a return. I'm like, I don't want a return, dude. I want money back. Because I would like to try to keep this, because otherwise I have to order a fucking another one of these and wait another day or two to fucking no.
Well, okay. You could just do the refund. They have a 30-day overlap. So from the moment you do the refund, you hold on to it until you get the new one. Right. And then you send back the old one.
But I wasn't going to set something up with something that needed to be a drive that needed to be returned. And the beauty was, once I finally got a person and they gave me a $20 credit, I plugged the thing in and I went to and found the app for the Mac, which is Disk Doctor or something like that.
Yeah.
And it showed 0 hours run. So I'm guessing somebody
so it was brand new.
Bought the drive, returned it.
I can tell you exactly what happened, because I've had this happen. I ordered a drive and they shipped me the wrong size. So I just packed it back up and
you're like, no, thank you.
Sent it back to them and they sent me the right one. And then you got the one that was size smaller.
And I got a nice little discount on it.
And you got a nice little discount on it. Yeah.
And it's running cold. I like it. I put there's two little thermal pads that came in the packaging.
The good thing is the cheaper the drive, the colder it's going to run.
Which makes sense. But also there are thermal pads, which I bet you most people, because the instructions for this thing, again,
you always put them on there.
There were no instructions at all. So I bet you some people would get this and be like, I have no idea what to do, how to put this on. It's like, you want to be able to have the drive and the metal from the device connect so it can disperse the heat. It's not that hard of a concept. But yeah, this was I think cheaper to have this hub with a 2 terabyte drive,
right,
than the other one, which didn't have a drive in it. Now the other one I know would have done like laptop charging and that shit, which I didn't need. This one doesn't even need a power. This one just runs off the power from the Mac.
That is the impressive thing, is that it doesn't even need power. So that's cool.
And I guess both monitors.
Technically it shouldn't, because the Mac, the FireWire or the Thunderbolt is what I meant to say. The Thunderbolt, it's like I'm 2 decades too
You're behind, but it's the same
I'm
concept.
way behind. Yeah, it was So the Thunderbolt lets you have, I think, up to like 85 watt or something going through it. So there's no reason that you would need to have external power. You could get all the power you need from the computer.
And it's like everything that was
able to provide it.
Right. Everything that was plugged in is plugged in. It does both monitors, which was mainly the thing was, if it would have just done the 2 monitors and had the M2 drive in it, I'd have been happy. But there's still a couple more USB slots. So it's like, this works.
Like USB-C or the old school?
The old school. There's one USB-C and there's a couple of the old school ones.
Yeah, I know. You sent me a link to it, and I think they also had a $25 discount if you got 2.
Right. Well, there was even if you just got one, there was a $25 discount. Now, I'll probably want to get There is the Satishi. There's one of these brands.
Well, I'm just thinking you may want to have two of these.
Oh, of course.
So you can have two external SSDs and even more breakout ports for all your crap.
Well, my thinking is once the decent ones start, because there's a few cheap Chinese ones that I'm not really excited about.
But this exact one.
Well, there are new hubs coming out that will actually fit the form factor of the Mac Mini.
Oh, okay.
So it will look a little less jank rather than having a little deck of cards on top. It'll just...
What are they called? Otherworld Computers or whatever has one like that?
Yeah, there are a few that Amazon has.
And they're like $600.
No, there's ones that are like $100, but...
well, this one's Thunderbolt 5.
Ooh, 5. This one's only 4.
Yeah.
And it's all the fucking drive space is just so expensive with Apple. It just makes you want to shoot them in the head.
I'm so happy
that was hyperbole, kids. That was an exaggeration.
Apple's going to get mad at you for wanting to shoot them.
I know. I'm like, it just angers people like, what do you...
Yeah, now, if you were going to shoot Apple in the head, would you use a rifle or a pistol?
I mean, probably a sawed-off shotgun. Obviously, that would be the easiest choice, right? No.
Uh-huh.
Just using that as an example of anger, kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because the amount of money you have to spend just to get
anger's
storage.
Bad. Okay.
I know. And I really, if I had if people were donating to this show,
you wouldn't be angry.
I'd be looking at,
I don't think we have the kind of show that people donate to.
I'd be looking at the network attached storage that fits like 25 M2 drives and can run forever.
Yeah. Those are awesome.
Like all the space you want.
I've been wanting one of those for a while, but I can't justify pulling the trigger on it because even if the gizmo itself is like $400,
yeah, the drives.
Then you look at the price of the drives, they're like, well, it's going to be like $300 per drive.
Yeah.
And it's got 7 drives in there.
Yeah.
Going to be way over 1,000 very quickly. It'll be like $2,000 pretty quickly.
It'll be $5,000 pretty quickly by the time you're done and loaded up.
Yeah, probably.
And for most things, the old mechanical drives that for all of the music and that, they're fine as long as you have backups. The speed isn't really all that important, but the size and the quickness, oh my goodness, it would be nice.
It's night and day. It's night and day. The old drives aren't really much faster than the 2.5 gig Ethernet that you got.
Right. Well, that's the other thing I have to put in now. I've got my 2 new 2.5 gig Ethernet hubs, so I've got to run those one up here, one down in the basement, so we can connect everything with higher bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
When is the Wi-Fi just going to get 10 times? When am I going to be able to get 10 gig?
Wi-Fi is already faster. Wi-Fi, my Wi-Fi runs at about 2.5 gigs right now.
I think that's about what this one is.
I don't think that I don't have Wi-Fi that's 10 gig, but I think they do have a 10 gig version of Wi-Fi out now, I believe.
I feel like that would be the way to go. I mean, granted,
I usually wait for the Gen 2 of whatever the latest thing is. I don't like buying the Gen 1s.
Cotton Gin hates Wi-Fi. I'm with you. I wire everything that I can.
Yeah, but it's so convenient to just sit there with an iPad and surf the web.
Well, of course. YouTube, my iPad is not wired up. That's the... I wire up everything that I can.
You could plug it into an Ethernet network.
Well, that's true. That would be awesome. Just be sitting there like, I'm wired. What's that? It's Ethernet, baby. I've got a dongle.
Turn off the Wi-Fi antenna. It's like, oh, what's your Wi-Fi? I don't have Wi-Fi. How do you use your iPad?
Every room has just a multitude of wires coming out of the walls.
Exactly. Oh, boy.
You're like, just hook it up right here.
Yeah.
It would work.
Well, and I've got my Mac and my PC, my gaming PC and my gaming laptop and an old gaming laptop. All 4 of those computers are all wired up with Wi-Fi turned off. So I do have a network only set of computers here. My Mac laptop is usually on Wi-Fi. And of course, all the iPads around the house are Wi-Fi.
Well, everything needs to have the best speeds you can get.
I suppose I should also stop just saying iPads because now I also have 2 Lenovo tablets that are running Android.
You got lots of tabs.
I'm fully, what's the word?
You're binary.
Where I get,
you've got multiple.
I'm ambidextrous for my computers.
Yeah, you are more than bi-curious when it comes to your operating systems.
Yes. Yes, I'm bi-operating system. But there are only 2 operating systems, the way God intended.
Apple and Windows, right? There's nothing in between.
Male and female. Yeah, exactly. And then these trans-Linux people always just kind of make me go, eh.
My favorite game to play is turning on the Wi-Fi, the thing that gives you a whole list of everything that's on your network, and trying to figure out what they all are.
Oh, yeah. I haven't played that for a while. I have a gizmo. I have a hardware device that does that. It just sits on my network and then constantly monitors it for changes. And if something goes on that it's never seen before, then it shuts it off.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I've got Watch Your LAN on.
Is this legit? Is this a legit thing or not?
Yeah, on the thing that runs my Lightning node, I've got the Watch My WAN.
You mean our Lightning node?
Right, yeah. This is where all of Gene Satoshi's go.
It's where they live.
There's not a lot of them, but there's a few that come in now and then.
There's very few of them.
I mean, we're not hooked up to get your ones from your other show. You're like, I don't even go with the other show.
No. I probably should just pull the plug on that if I haven't. Not the show, the Satoshis.
People are like, wait.
The show is going to have its 100th episode this weekend.
No, that's not
just
Surgeon
Two Good Old
Speaks.
Boys.
Just 2 Good Old Boys? Wow.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Do you do more than one show a week? Is that how you're catching up?
No. Been running for 2 years.
That doesn't sound right.
Much like this show was actually started for quite a while, running under the banner of Grumpy Old Ben's. Just the Good Old Boys ran for quite a few episodes prior to this under Sir Gene Speaks, but it is in its current form under the banner of Just the Good Old Boys. It's going to be the 100th show.
And it's got AI music. It's got a lot of AI content.
It's got pretty good AI music. I like the AI music on it.
Did you ever get your ex-host promoted with Elon? Or
Nope. Never did.
Anybody ever
came back with try a different card?
Really?
I'm like, I've tried 3 cards, guys. It's not on my end. It's on your fucking end.
Elon
try a different browser.
Money. Right. Well, that's a lot of it.
I tried 2 different browsers. Neither one of them worked. It's on your end.
Which is getting really fucking tiring when you have an issue with a browser. Because a lot of times you don't know until it's caused a problem. Like, and I understand to a certain extent some of these browsers that rip things out of it to try to keep it all from phoning home.
Mm-hmm.
But I did.
But it's a freaking website to pay them money.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is the number one, most easy, least problem thing that should be available in your company. If that doesn't work, and I've been as a COO in several different companies when the website, for whatever reason, stopped working on the sales page, everything stops. Everybody has to go fix it. It's like, I don't care what your priorities are, what you're working on. If we can't have an order coming in due to a technical issue, nobody's going home until it's fixed.
We had no money coming in is a bad thing.
That's a bad thing. And it's like, this would have been the one day where I wanted to promote and actually pay for a post because I had a song that was tied to a particular day. Now, if I was more organized, I would have done this a week earlier. I would have gotten set up. And if not, I would have had more time to pay them. But at this point, I was like, okay, well, I don't really need to pay you anymore. Don't need to promote any more posts because you all don't want money.
Eugene owns his own record label now. He has an artist, Black MAGA.
That's right.
Which is totally.
We're doing a little collab there.
Right. Yeah, it's a little collab. Mm-hmm. I was so pissed off. I ordered the groceries as I do. And it got to the final stage and it shot an error. So went through, put everything in the shopping cart.
Yeah.
Put all of my notes on the things like, hey, if you're with the turkey breast, thicker slices, all that, everything. And then for every one of the ones that I really cared about, here's a backup item. And I went through, put the credit card in, and the last possible button came back with error. The shopping cart was empty. On the website, I could still see the order, but it wasn't showing as received. So I called up the fucking store and they're like, well, we don't have it here.
Wow.
Like, well, here's the order number. Can't you do anything? No. So I had to go through and put the whole fucking order through again.
Ooh. That's annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, because it wasn't like a lunch order. There was like 80 items that you have to go and search for and hit add and have the right quantity. So, yeah, that one I wasn't real happy with. And then one of the things that was on the order was a Lego set. I know, big surprise. Because
at a grocery store?
Yeah.
What?
Meijer, baby. They have toys and that kind of a thing. And they were running their Santa buck. So you get, if you spent $100, you get 25 off or something like that. So I put the one set, put a backup, and they didn't have either one of those. So they suggested another set that was like $100.
Oh my gosh.
And I clicked no. They put it in the wife's car anyway. Which leads, because, this leads to, this is the same store that a week earlier, the whole grocery order, as we talked about here, never showed up. I called them and I'm like, well, no, we picked it up. And they're like, okay, we'll cancel it. And then they never charged us for the whole thing of groceries. Otherwise, I'd have been like, well, fuck them. I felt this was kind of using the karma a little too much. And they called twice right after it was picked up that day, the next day, but never left a message. So then this was the question, Waythorn asking if I'm a bit too old for Lego. I am, and my eyes suck. But my wife, who is the same age as I am, is obviously not too old for Lego for some reason. I don't know. I don't quite understand it. But I told the wife, because she's like, well, I'm just going to keep it. I'm like, but they called. And why else would they call? That's not, they never call. I'm like, they have to know. And like little Jimmy or whoever put it in your car is going to get fucking fired because he put a, $100 item in somebody's car. But it's like, why? Again, do your job, people. If you're going to call, if you realize this happened, leave a message. That would be the way to go. Don't just call and hang up and go away. That's more annoying than anything else because I'm never picking up that line. It's a Google voice. It doesn't ring anything 99.9% of the time.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I think it's the right, but then I had to fucking call up and be like, we got this the last time. We're coming for the new order today. Make sure your person comes and gets it because otherwise you're not getting it back. That was kind of the way to go. It's like the wife would like, I would just keep it. I'm like, yeah, but don't you feel like a douche? She's like, no.
So you did something very similar to what I did with Amazon or no. Yeah, it was that. Was it Amazon? Yeah, it was Amazon about a year ago, maybe thereabouts, maybe 9 months ago, where they were supposed to deliver something. I can't remember. Some kind of tech doodad. It was like a hub and some other stuff, or maybe a USB thing. I can't remember what it was. But the point is,
the B12 isn't.
It didn't show up. It didn't show up, right? So it's like, okay, I was supposed to get it this day. I'm going on a trip soon. I need this for my trip. So then the next day, I call up Amazon. I'm like, I still haven't got it. Do you have confirmation of when this is supposed to be delivered? And they're like, well, they should have been delivered yesterday, but if it wasn't, just give it a couple of days. I'm like, well, I'm leaving on a trip, so I don't know if it's going to get
Please come rob delivered. My house when I'm gone.
And they're like, well, do you want a replacement like immediately? I said, yes, I need the replacement to show up tomorrow. That's the latest I'm going to be around. So they're like, okay, all right, we'll just say that, item was missing or whatever. So next day, I get what I assume is the replacement in the morning. And then I get the actual replacement in the afternoon.
Woo!
They both showed up. So now I've got two of these things. They've, wrote up the first one as lost in transit or something. And I'm like, I know they're going to have a picture of the delivery guy.
Right.
Takes a photo every delivery.
And he's taking a picture and he's putting it next to the other one that's in
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. And it's late. And I know it's late and it's their fault, but I'm like, fuck it. Okay. So I called up to Amazon. I'm like, hey, so I got a duplicate now because you guys said that, we agreed this was lost. You didn't get it to me in time. The replacement showed up and now two of them showed up on the same day. And the guy's like, yes, sir. And what can we do for you? I'm like, well, I guess you got to come by and pick one of the two up. And the guy was like, you're the first person that's ever asked for that. I said, well, I just wanted the one I paid for. I don't need two of them. Even if I did, I don't want to do it through a mistake like this that you made. And he had to put me on hold for 10 minutes to figure out what's the procedure for picking up something that has already been marked as lost in the mail.
Right.
Because you gotta remember, for them to pick this up, not only are they paying for return shipping, but they're also, they have this item doesn't exist any longer in their system because it was shipped out. So it's gone. And then it was marked as lost. So there is no original order for them to refund it from. Or to not refund it, but to return it from, because the order has effectively been refunded and a new order created to replace that old order. So now this is actually creating more of a headache for them, to get the item back. And I come to think of it, it was something that was over $100. It wasn't like a super cheap thing. I probably wouldn't have bothered if it was
if it's super cheap. You're like, fuck them. I'm not.
Who cares? They're not going to care. They're not going to want it back anyway. And eventually the guy came on and he said, thank you for being the only honest person that shops at Amazon. And
ever.
Exactly. And then said, that, either I can drop it off or just keep it outside and they'll pick it up tomorrow when they swing by. But it's such a rare occurrence because, stuff, I don't think anyone returns stuff. People just keep it.
Well, legally, if it comes in the mail, it's yours. There's a question on if it's delivered by an Amazon delivery driver. That may be a little bit different. And it was definitely because I was curious what the law was. And
well, it is absolutely yours. It doesn't mean that they're not entitled to charge you for it, though.
Right. Or
because
it
is
back.
Yours.
Right.
And therefore they charge you for it.
Right. So it's like that could just show up on your credit card.
Now, like
who knows?
The mirror that I still have sitting in the hallway in its box. I have no idea where that came from. That was not Amazon. That was just showed up on my front porch. Like, there's no place to send it back.
No.
Well, yeah. I don't. It's like clearly delivery to somebody, one of my neighbors, but I have no idea which. I left it there. And this was during the non-rainy season. Like it doesn't rain here for most of the summer, so you don't have to worry about stuff being outside. But I left it sitting out there, plainly visible next to the car for 3 days, hoping somebody driving by would see it and pick it up.
Like, hey, there's my mirror.
Yeah, exactly. Which I've had that happen. I've had deliveries to the wrong house, and I've driven around the neighborhood, and then I go knock on the door. It's like, hey, I think you got my delivery. Here's, it's got my name on the package that's sitting next to your door.
Right. Cause you can see it. You have a picture to go by. So if the door is something that is standing out, you'll know.
And that happens more with Uber deliveries for food than it does with Amazon deliveries.
Well, because the Uber drivers are high. They're like, they're munching on your fries.
It's a different driver every time. At least the Amazon people, I assume, have a somewhat standard route. So he's been in this neighborhood before. He knows what my house looks like.
They know what Gene gets.
Yeah. But the Uber guys are always different people. Dude, one time I had an ex-girlfriend that was an Uber driver. That was hilarious.
For her, for you.
Well, it was, I don't know. I mean,
Did you invite her in?
Hell no. I didn't know. I was standing on the inside of the door looking through the door peephole, and I recognized her. And I'm like, nope, I'm not opening this door.
She might be armed. You never know.
She's been in this house with no clothes on before. There's no way I'm opening this door.
Once that happens, you never let them back in, Gene.
No, God, no. Hell no.
You never let them back in. But that was with this whole return thing. My wife.
I'm glad she got her driver's license finally, though.
Oh man, I'm just I was going to ask about. Well, she was 15. What was the reason why? But no, I'm not going to.
No, she wasn't 15. Please, come on. What do you take me for? No. We celebrated her 21st birthday though.
Oh, and she still wasn't driving because she had a sugar daddy.
No, she was not driving because in Austin you Uber everywhere.
That is one way to go. But with the return, my wife was like, I'm not taking it inside because she had to go inside to return something that we bought and then decided we didn't want not that long ago. And she's like, it's a clusterfuck. I'm not bringing it inside.
Yeah, you don't want to take your time for their mistake.
Right. And that's what she said. It's like, if they come out and get it, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise, no. Otherwise, it's free Lego.
I've had it where the food delivery service misses like a type of groceries. Like I've had them, like they brought everything else, but they forgot everything from the deli.
Right. Yeah, that's happened.
And then I call them up. It's like, hey, okay, I'm missing this, and this. And they're like, hang on. And then they come back. It's like, oh yeah, it looks like one of your bags is still here. I'm like, well, just credit me. Don't really want to get stuff that's been sitting in a bag for an hour and a half.
I mean, hopefully it's in the refrigerated section.
I don't care. I just don't need that. You know, I don't know what happened to that bag. It's like either you deliver it on time or you credit back. I don't like this. Like, well, we could get you scheduled like 4 hours from now. No, I don't want that
right now.
Either I wanted it when I ordered it, and if you didn't have it, that's okay. I'll get it next time, but I don't, I don't need it showing up when I'm not home.
Now, I want to know who are the poor Amazon delivery drivers. Every now and then, the option it gives me.
I hear they're super well paid. I don't know what you're talking about.
The time slot, though, every now and then I get, we could deliver this tomorrow between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. Yeah. I'm like, who the hell is doing that shift?
They do 24/7 deliveries. I would totally do that. If I was an Amazon delivery guy, I would love that time slot. You know why?
If you get paid
no
for
fucking
delivery,
traffic,
right?
No fucking, and then you get paid what you get paid. The pay doesn't matter. It's the fact that you don't have to deal with traffic. You have no crazy cars or people or bicycles getting out in front of you. It's nice and quiet. The roads are clean. There's nobody that's going to be standing outside trying to talk to you when you don't need to be talking to them.
Wait, there are people that want to talk to their Amazon delivery guys?
Oh, yeah. People over 70. Absolutely. My dad does that all the time.
Where's Bemrose? I want to know if anybody has ever tried to hit him up into a conversation when delivering a package.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You should let us know, Bemrose.
That would be great stories. That would be a whole episode of a show.
You could have a show right there. Amazon Tales of Amazon Delivery.
Bob. How many housewives are like, can you bring that package in for me, sir?
Yeah, bring it in and hang on. Let me just take a shower.
Bob. You look a little bit dirty too. Would you like to join me?
It's funny. There is a porn video category like that, but they're usually not for Amazon delivery guys. They're usually for pizza delivery guys. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you don't watch porn, but maybe your friends do, and you may have heard about that.
Now,
but there are videos there that people make of basically like, inviting the or opening a door for a pizza delivery wearing no clothes.
Well, of course, that's the way it goes. But I have heard stories, and it's never from the hippy dippy marijuana smoking carpet installers that I used to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one dude who then went off to start his own cleaning company. So he was the guy that would go out and do the carpet cleanings. And was a good looking dude, and he was buff. And he's the one that claimed that every now and then there was a little activity besides cleaning the carpet.
I bet he cleaned the carpet.
Right. And the drapes. I don't know. He was very thorough. Very thorough.
Very thorough. Yes.
It's like you think about it, nobody's going to pay any attention. I mean, it's
no.
Yeah.
I think the pool boys have a reputation for that,
right?
Kind of thing, I guess.
In this case, honey, why are you getting the carpets cleaned every 4 months?
Every 4 months, every other week,
right? Well, you can only do one room at a time. You see, so that's the much better way to go about it.
They can only fit me in for 30 minutes per every other week,
right? But yeah, never heard that from the guys that were more like, the George Carlin types.
I did pizza delivery when I was in high school. I never had any hot chick open up the door without any clothes on.
No, because they want to see you first,
I guess.
And then they might invite you in. They're like, wait a minute, we don't know what we're
also, getting. It was snowy.
Oh, well, that's also, it's not that hard if they're inside. Now, but for you, I mean, you can't show up with.
Some people are, what's the opposite of a voyeur? They're exhibitionists, right?
True.
So some people are exhibitionists.
And usually
they actually get a thrill.
Old guys with a Santa Claus look and, they want to open the door with their gut hanging out and with their dick just swinging in the wind like, hey, dude, thanks.
That's not really exhibitionist. That's just normal.
That's just a normal day for Gene. There's a reason why it's getting harder for him to get his groceries delivered. The sushi guy's like, no more, Gene, no more.
No more.
Wear pants. Oh.
I've always thought that Winnie the Pooh had the right idea.
No pants, just up top.
Just no pants Fridays all week long.
Noah Jenna Millennial says hot chicks don't eat pizza. You are so wrong.
In my dreams they do, sure.
Hey, I've seen hot chicks eating pizza. I'm not saying they eat a lot of
pizza. Yeah. Dude, I did a photo shoot where it was called Feed the Model, where I had.
And who came up with this concept?
I did.
I figured.
This original concept by me.
Yeah. And nobody had ever heard of this ever before.
I know. It's crazy, right?
Models
because they look so skinny. They're so damn skinny. So I did the shoot. That was all nude, of course. But it's basically, we got like the triple bacon burger supreme from wherever, and then have the take photos of the model eating this, and it was like, it was beautiful.
Did you release a coffee table book that people could now go purchase?
I had about 3 coffee table books worth. I only did one. I released one, and then most of my photo sale back when I used to do photography, most of my photo sales were actually for the large format, so like 3 to 4 foot size printed canvases. So they were going into people's homes, not so much coffee table books.
And that business is probably dead now, thanks to technology.
Oh, I would think so. Yeah, when I was doing it, and I've said this before, that my best year was about $130,000 worth of sales of photo stuff.
But now you could just go and take any image from the internet and blow it up and print it up on demand. And
yeah.
And nobody ever stops you. That was the other fun thing.
How damn near all my photo gear in time.
Well, now because what you have in your phone is probably 90%, if not more, to what you were getting out of.
Yeah, your phone has 3 lenses, a wide angle, a telephoto, and a normal. The sensor quality is very good. The phone is improved. I mean, it's still I could still tell, but you'd be pixel peeping to be able to see a difference. And using raw files. But back when I was doing, when I sold my stuff, I don't even want to know how much I paid for it. When I sold my photo equipment, I got almost $20,000 for it.
Sold at the right time.
Just for the cameras and lenses. Yeah. I sold it. Yeah. Probably 7 years ago, 6 years ago, probably 6 years ago, something like that. It was before COVID. And it was, I saw the writing on the wall. I knew that this stuff is going to become greatly devalued. Although the one piece that I never sold that I probably could have if I tried harder, but I ended up giving it away to charity, was my large format printer. And that was a $6,000 printer. And I ended up basically trading it or giving it away as long as they pick it up.
Yeah, you could probably still run a business with that because you can sell shit on eBay.
Yeah.
You know, like, send us your photo and we'll send you a poster.
Like the paper rolls for that printer were $200 to $300.
Oh, yeah. But you could sell the individual. I mean, Costco at the time was selling the prints for, I think, $8.50.
Yeah.
Which meant it was probably costing about $3 to print them up.
Uh-huh. And it cost me quite a bit more than that to print them. But, you know, obviously, when I was doing it, I got the printer because I used 2 different printers initially to print these photos. And there was always issues. So there always had to be reprints. And I just got sick of having to quality check every single thing because nothing was ever perfect. And it's like, well, how much is a damn print? Because I'm spending like $5,000. Probably not that much. Probably like $2,000. I was spending about $2,000 a month on printing services. Because again, the shops that do this charge a lot. And I had to go with whatever one of 3 or 4 different papers or canvases they had. You know, eventually I just said, fuck it. I'm just going to buy one of these myself. And I did. There was a little bit of a learning curve to really figure out how to use it.
Yeah, they're big. And you can't move them around. Yeah. You have to make sure the ink levels.
Well, you can move them. They're on wheels, but the printer printed 3 feet wide, and the printer itself was about 4.5 feet wide. So it's substantial. And then that 3 feet wide was actually the narrow side of the print. So you'd print like a 3 foot by 4.5 foot image usually. And then I was taking those and for the canvases, getting them racked. And I got tired of doing that. So I bought all the equipment to do my own racking. So I was actually stretching the canvases myself as well.
Is that what the kids are calling it?
I did put quite a bit of money into that when I was doing it, but it was making me money, so it made sense.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where you're still making a product for somebody. And I think those you can still, for people that can print T-shirts or print mugs, all these things, you can always make money because nobody's buying a printer that size not professionally. You know, you're not going to have somebody that's like, I'm just going to put one in the garage because I might want to print up a poster now and then.
Right.
So you need that specialty, and this is where
it's a cool device. The other problem with it is that because it's a commercial product, if you don't use it at least every 3 days, then you have a probability of getting clogged inkjets.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
That's okay because it can wash them out. Like it's got it's self-cleaning. However, you end up spending as much ink to clean the damn printer as you do actually printing with the damn printer. Oh, and by the way, each color ink tank is $110.
Woo!
And there's 7 colors. So there's like $1,000 worth of ink in that thing.
So you better be doing a lot of business.
And if you are doing a lot of business, it actually works out great. I actually went through about 1 thing of ink per year, which is not very much.
Now you need to be doing more business.
Well, I mean, I'd have to do way more business to do that. And that was, I did some prints for Adam's ex-wife there back when she first got into, a lot of her getting into photography. It was motivated by the camera that she got from her, I can't remember if it was her dad or her mom, but whoever. But she was first learning photography back then. And I'd been doing photography for 15 years or more at that point. And so she'd have all kinds of questions and stuff, and I helped her figure out. And then I watched her within a couple of years start selling her prints that she was doing for like $5,000 to $10,000. I was like, holy shit.
Oh, it's like a Hunter Biden thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like a Hunter Biden thing. and I mean, I need to actually sell it this way. I've got one of her paintings that she did when she first started doing painting. And she's like a well-known artist in the Netherlands these days. So I think it might be worth some money.
Sell.
Yeah, because I think I paid her like $5,000 for it. And I think I could probably sell it for 15 or 20 now.
That is a profit. Now you can also take a photograph of them,
to ship it to the Netherlands,
and then be reproducing the prints at an alarming rate.
I don't think you're allowed to do that
with this whole copyright thing.
Yeah.
But somebody would have to catch you first, Gene.
I mean, I guess I could take an image of a original painting that I have in order to promote the painting, but I don't think I can just mass produce images of the painting and sell them.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to be able.
That's a good question. Like, if you have a Rembrandt original, do you then just own that Rembrandt for reproduction rights as well?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
I don't know, and it's obviously going to be different for a Rembrandt because he's no longer alive.
Right. Well, and there's a copyright amount of time that eventually expires. So, yeah, that would be an interesting question on an individual piece that was only ever meant to be one piece. If you own that piece,
do you own the reproduction rights?
Right.
I wonder. That's a good question.
I would guess.
I don't know that anyone would pay any money for it. It's not very good, but it was more the idea that, I'm supporting a friend's wife, and it is like one of her first 3 paintings that she's ever done.
Well, that should definitely take the price up.
I think so. I think that it does have that.
Or it might not. Does the art world not go by like the rookie card aspect?
Oh, they do.
Like
they
sports?
do. Absolutely. It is just like sports. Anything that is unusual, like, you have artist proofs, which are basically what the artist does before they do the final product.
Right, before the lithograph is done, it's we're just one last look at it.
And the APs are usually priced lower because there's imperfections on them.
Unless they're autographed and the artist is well known, and then they say this is worth more because it's rare.
Well, and that's the thing. It all depends on how many copies. So if you have an AP where there was only 8 or 10 proofs done, but then the final finished version, there's thousands of those made, then the artist proofs would absolutely be worth more. If you have an artist proof like 1 of 10, and then they only did one final product, well, obviously the final product is going to be worth more.
It's all about rarity.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can get crazy people to spend on things.
Yeah, that too. Just not ponchos, apparently.
Yeah, unless you make them into NFTs.
Poncho NFTs.
Right.
Now, there's an idea.
See, and then you could turn in the NFT at any time.
Can I just call it an NFT and then, hey, we're going to send you your token now?
Exactly.
Oh, great. So here's my email. No. We're going to send you your token.
It's an actual.
It's a physical object. Yes.
Yes. We told you it was a.
It's non-fungible.
It's a token that looks a lot like a poncho.
They're all different because they have a number on them.
The troll room thinks the NFT poncho is brilliant. See, that would be.
Didn't they? Yeah.
This could be the exit strategy.
If only the troll room ever spent any money on anything.
I know, at least on this show.
Well,
we went through the whole thing on the last show where now we have unrelenting.com/donate, and it's so much easier. And we have smaller amounts.
For all of December, I get just donate a measly $20 and you get a free poncho.
Yeah.
The one guy who donated over $20 didn't want the poncho.
No, dude. I thought it was $20, so you won't send me a poncho. Oh, dude, it was totally different.
That was
Dale?
Who was it? Was
it Dale
somebody,
from Down Under?
It was somebody out of the country, I think. Yeah. And where the cost of the shipping would be quite a bit more than the donation amount. But yeah, it's like it's going to be interesting because I think once we add Mexico, Greenland, Panama, and Canada as states, I think there'll be a lot more prosperity going on in this country.
Well, we need a lot more of those natural resources that we can bring in from those areas.
And that's kind of the deal is they've got them. We need them. So it's a match made in heaven. We can get them as soon as they become state.
Well, the whole Greenland thing, if they're going to put it in the hands of the people that live in Greenland.
Well, it's not up to them, though.
It should be. They should.
No, it's up to Denmark. Denmark owns it.
I know, but they screwed the people of Greenland, man.
But the people of Greenland originally were from Denmark. They just never got independence from their colony. That's still a colony.
Look up the Greenland, what they did to the women in Greenland with the like implanting birth control devices without letting them know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bizarre
I think
thing.
You're thinking of a TV show.
No,
called,
I'm not. This is look it up, man. It's like I found this randomly while looking for something else, and it was like, what the fuck? It's like it is a this is from the BBC from late last October 2023. Greenland women seek compensation over involuntary birth control. A group of 67 women from Greenland are seeking compensation from the Danish government over a campaign of involuntary birth control. At least 4,500 women, some teenagers, were fitted with coils to limit birth rates among the indigenous population.
Yeah. I think you're thinking of the TV show Silo, which is...
No, this is from the BBC. This is... Exactly.
It's probably Apple TV is what you're thinking.
This is the BBC. The records from the National Archives show that between 1966 and 1970 alone, 4,500 IUDs were fitted into women, some as young as 13, without their knowledge or consent. I want to know how this was all going on.
Yeah, I'd like to know how that happens too. Are they knocked out or what?
I would guess the practice is known to have continued until 1975, but the BBC has learned it lasted for many years after that. Excuse me, a commission set up by the Danish and Greenlandic governments to investigate the program is not due to deliver its findings until May of 2025. So that's coming up. This is not coming up. But it's like this whole thing
sounds just like the kind of thing that a country that wants to take over the Greenland would put out there as a news piece.
Well, this was the BBC and it was last year, so maybe.
Oh. What
I don't understand is the women are seeking about $42,000 a piece. So it's like, you should put a few more zeros on that. You're doing it wrong. You are doing it wrong.
So they're seeking money for the fact that they didn't have to spend money on a kid?
Right. We're not given that opportunity. And again, I want to know more about how you do this involuntarily to a population. I mean, being that the whole population of Greenland is like under 70,000, I think it's not.
Yeah, I think it's 60.
It is not a large.
But it's
place.
not actually green is the problem. You see that the Iceland and Greenland are backwards.
True. Well, that was because it was tricky naming.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's call it Iceland. Nobody will show up. Woo.
There's another aspect there is that right around, I can't remember the exact year. It was either like 980 or 1180 or 1080 or something. But one of those years, there was a 10-year, a decade-long warming spell that happened where Europe experienced extremely mild temperatures for about a decade in the winter and nice, warm, long summers. And so there were areas that typically would be much colder, including in Norway and Sweden and Iceland, that were during that decade or so much warmer, and so that contributed, I think, to the settlements in Iceland and potentially Greenland by the Vikings that would not have happened were the climate colder the way that it had been afterwards.
Okay.
I've never been to Iceland, but I've always thought it looked very pretty.
Also, it says the last year, Denmark apologized and paid compensation to 6 Inuit who were taken from their families in the 1950s as part of an attempt to build a Danish-speaking elite within Greenland. Like, what the fuck are the Danish doing, man?
Well, that's why I'm thinking that this whole like Greenland becomes a state is not as far-fetched as some people think.
Well, it seems that the people that live there might be like, if we could switch to the U.S., this would be a much better way to go.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's just some bizarre stuff. I mean, that I had never heard of anything like that.
Just imagine the U.S.-Danish war over Greenland.
Oh, yeah, that would be a big one. What is the Danish military looking like these days?
Oh, I think they're all in Ukraine right now.
Well, we could just walk right on in then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, yeah, you guys are over here. Oh, don't worry. We'll be over here. It is a little.
Well, I got to imagine that with Denmark being part of NATO, that all the other European countries would have to come to the aid of Denmark in its fight against the tyrannical evil in the United States over Greenland, its territory.
I think they'll just sell it. I think they'll rent it. I think they'll be like, oh,
they'll rent it.
We'll
rent you a state for 100 years.
Right. Well, why not? And then we'd be like, well, then you send the military in and you can protect all the resources because they're obviously not utilizing what Greenland has. So I don't know if they're just unable to do so or they don't want to do so.
I hear it's very tasty.
Well, there could be a whole new exit strategy there besides all of the minerals and the earth metals and all the great things that they will end up finding. Possibly.
I think the biggest strategic reason for Greenland is it's yet another location that the United States can put a military base.
And it's closer
to Russia.
Yeah.
Putin, that's literally the main reason.
And the Danish aren't going to do it.
No, they're not going to do it. But you're literally just going over the North Pole and you're in Siberia.
Do you know how much that would piss off Russia? Because the Greenland would be like, well, we're making this deal. We've given the U.S. a 100-year lease. They get the mineral rights. And the U.S. goes, well, since we're here now, we really have to protect this. So we're going to put a military base here.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of money that would bring into Denmark, I mean, this would be even as a percentage there, it's like win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I think.
Except maybe Russia.
I don't think we want to lease it. I think we want to buy it. But yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. Maybe it's like the olden days. Remember those companies you could rent to own?
Yeah.
Maybe we're doing that with Greenland, like rent to own Greenland.
Rent to own Greenland.
See, I mean, we'll just get us a lease, and if we like it, we can keep it longer. And the bright side, we'll both be dead before it's all over.
The other thing is, I think this will happen quickly. The other thing, aside from being closer for a military base, really not so much a military base, but more as a launching pad for missiles.
Oh, we can send Elon over there.
But other than that, the other thing that getting Greenland does is it puts the U.S. into the Northern Passage, so that you basically have a split between Russia and the United States up north, and both countries can have ships sailing through there. Because, with all the global warming and whatnot, the passage is now open. Like, you can actually sail through the Northern Passage to deliver goods between China and Europe, which is what the Chinese are doing, instead of sailing all the way around India and Africa to get to Europe. Now you could just go north.
Convenience.
Yeah, I think so. So that's the thing. Now, Panama is interesting because in Panama,
you have NordVPN.
Do you?
Yeah, that's where they're based.
In Panama?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes total sense. Bunch of crooks.
They're one of those countries where they're like, U.S. guy, send all your DMCA notices. We'll shred them on demand.
Exactly. Yeah. So they have a reputation for being the gateway to drugs and human trafficking.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
Well, and that's where all the ships go. So of course, that's where it happens. So you unload all the Chinese out of the box containers down in Panama, and then you ship them up through all the Central American countries and Mexico up into the U.S.
I mean, has anybody noticed that the latest caravan that was going up of migrants through Mexico was dispersed by the Mexican army? Oh, wow.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that. No.
It turns out that maybe all of this Trump talk about tariffs has the Mexicans doing exactly what he wants them to do.
Yeah. Well, the Mexicans had threatened to tariff right back. So
I know. And the United States went, go ahead. Mm-hmm. There's really nothing made in Mexico that we can't get elsewhere.
Yeah. Although I will say damn near 100% of my groceries come from Mexico.
What the hell are you buying, Gene?
Fruits.
Is that good for a diabetic?
Vegetables?
Fruits. I mean, that's sugar.
No, not sugary fruits. Just apricots. So I can extract the substances out of them.
I don't know I don't think any of my food comes from Mexico.
Your lettuce might.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of lettuce though. Because every time I get into a lettuce thing, it's like, E. coli, we're recall.
Well, I know the steaks come from Brazil usually.
Well, see, those are better. You want a good meat country. That's very important. Although, I mean, you're in Texas. Do you not have a good meat source in the state of Texas?
You don't butcher cows year round, you know.
Do you have a freezer maybe that could put them in for?
I don't like frozen meat. I like fresh meat.
Oh, Gene only likes fresh meat. That goes along with that elitist attitude here.
Oh my God, I'm like the opposite of an elitist.
Which would
I'm a total proletariat.
A commoner.
I'm a complete whatchamacallit, one of those people, commoner.
I am just a commoner who refuses to eat frozen meat. How about canned meat? Will you eat canned meat? Do you have Spam? Do you have Spam in your fridge? Spam?
Spam? I've never had Spam.
Spam? You've never had Spam?
No, that's not true. I had Spam in Hawaii. I was
going to say, you can't really call yourself a commoner if you're like, I've never had that. Did you ever have mac and cheese, Gene?
I have mac and cheese way too often.
Was it Kellogg's that makes it? Who's the one that makes the?
No, it's truffle mac and cheese.
Of course.
From the local cheesery shop here.
With gold flakes sprinkled in just to.
No, that's retarded. You don't want to be eating gold. You're just going to poop it out.
Yeah. Well, tell that to the Goldschlager people. They just went right in on that. You're making your poop worth some money.
Uh-huh.
Little Kraft mac and cheese. It's the cheesiest.
Yeah, Kraft mac and cheese sucks.
Do you have the
homemade mac and cheese can be made very tasty.
Now, do you have spaghetti with some cut up wieners in it? Is that a staple for your house?
No.
You don't do cut up hot dogs and spaghetti? Wow. Do you eat hot dogs at all?
No.
Never?
No. Well, it's a baseball stadium.
Well, I think it's kind of a law. If you have to go into the baseball stadium, you got to have a dog.
$12 hot dog.
I saw a YouTube video of some restaurant in Chicago, it's like kind of like a diner or something, which allegedly, it's the best burger in the world. I'm like, never fucking heard of it and lived here for 54 years.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. Although they did start the video with
anybody that says best burger, I generally just dismiss anyway, because it is a very individual thing for what a best burger is, right? There is a place that here in Texas, here in Austin, I should say, where I have had the best burger that I've ever had, but they're closed now. Like they shut down pre-COVID. It was the what was the restaurant called? It was a restaurant at the Marina Club,
and they're gone.
Well, the marina's still there, but the restaurant, it didn't technically. I mean, they changed chefs, and I think they closed as a result of that because the new chef did not know how to make a good burger.
Oh, well, then you had to get rid of them.
But that's the thing. It's like, it's not a place that, first of all, you would ever expect there to be a good burger? Like at the marina? What? Why would you have a good burger there? But they absolutely had the best burger. You know, you have to be a club member to be there anyway.
Well, of course, see, this is what you like. Then you have to show your card.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, it was Au Cheval, Cheval. It's like, never heard of the place.
That doesn't sound like a burger place to me.
I know. And they tried to go to the website and it's like, it doesn't open. So people are like, oh, best burger I've ever had. Like, I don't buy it. 800 West Rudolph Street. So, I mean, it's downtown.
Mm-hmm.
But they started the video at the Billy Goat. Now, there's a burger. There's a burger of the people, the Billy Goat. You've been to the Billy Goat, I'm sure. Lower Wacker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where you feel like you're going to get mugged or shot just going to it because it's underground.
Yeah, Lower Wacker always feels like that scene in that movie where it's always nighttime.
Uh-huh.
And the yellow lights is the only source of light. And there's guys walking around looking on their left, right. And while you're driving the car. So, yeah, that's my impression of Lower Wacker.
It's a very strange place to have a burger place.
I've spent time in Lower Wacker.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you?
That's right.
Made a lot of deals down there with the subterranean people.
Well, I told you, I used to stay at the Executive Plaza, which is on Upper Wacker.
Well, then if you're on Upper Wacker, you may as well go to Lower Wacker.
Well, not really, but sometimes you do.
Upper Wacker, Lower Wacker. Sometimes you get lost and you're driving around and you're like, how the hell did I wind up underground?
It is a bit of a weird entrance because you're just driving along and all of a sudden, bloop, you're underground. What the hell happened?
And then you're like, how do I get out of here?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Nobody knows.
It's an interesting thing. And I mean, I haven't been to Chicago in many, many years. You sounds like haven't either.
No, it's been a long,
it's like now.
Can't remember the last time that I went into, probably the last time I went into Chicago proper, and it's not even really Chicago proper, would be going to a White Sox game a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise have not gone into the city, have not been downtown in a long time, and I don't miss it. Do not miss it. Really, what do you need?
So yeah, the place, I was looking up the place that I had the best burger in. It was the Rough Life Yacht Club in Marina.
The Rough Life Yacht Club? This sounds like a place there would be t-shirts for.
Well, I know. They had ads all over the city.
Oh, like, what a rough life.
Welcome to the Rough Life.
Nice.
They're showing off the swimming pools and the boats and stuff. But that was the place. And it was a surprisingly good quality burger. And now I think they've changed the name. It's called Canyon Grill at Rough Hollow. Canyon Grill at Rough Hollow. On Yacht Club Cove.
Let's ask Perplexity.ai. Where can I get the best hamburger in America? And thanks to Xfinity for giving me a year free of.
It's going to give you shit like that.
It'll be very charred though in California now.
I know, right?
Everything.
Well done.
The based on recent rankings, number one is the Habit Burger Grill's Double Char. And then the Au Cheval.
Where are they based?
It doesn't say with that one. The other one, Au Cheval, is Chicago and New York.
Yeah. Look for the other one. Look at number one. Where are they located?
The Habit Burger Grill's Double Char. Let me see. It doesn't say. Is there a link? I've never heard of the Habit Burgers Grill. Let's see. Where's that? I don't know why the other one. This is the beauty of AI. Why are you giving me the information on everyone else? Like, this is where you can get it. With this one, you're like, I don't know. The Habit Burger Grill's Double Char Burger has recently gained significant recognition, winning the best fast food burger in the USA Today. And where's
it located?
I know. It's like the Double Char cheeseburgers. Okay, here. They have a website.
What's the name of the place? I'll do a search.
There's a bunch of locations, I guess. Oh, mainly California.
What did I predict?
In New York.
What did I literally just say?
There's none in the Midwest. But there's
that's because people that do reviews
Arizona
don't
California,
consider flyover country to be country.
Looks like New York, looks like Florida, looks like, in the Virginias.
And that's, I remember this exact thing with steaks, where every time you'd look for reviews, what's the best steak? It'd be places in New York City. It'd be places in California. It'd be places, in other cities in the East Coast. And then you'd find occasionally a couple of places in Chicago, but that'd be about it. The best steak I've ever had consistently, year after year, was in Kansas City.
Kansas City?
And it makes total sense because that's where the cows from Texas go.
They all just wander on up to Kansas City.
Well, they used to wander up there. That's what the old cattle drives used to
Rawhide,
be. Now they're
baby.
all just shipped there.
I love that show.
Trains.
Rawhide was great.
Rawhide.
Rolling, rolling, rolling. I mean, then, of course, the Blues Brothers doing the song just made it even better.
Oh, yeah.
But Rowdy Yates, Clint Eastwood's still around.
And I've had good steak in Chicago, but the best steak I ever had was in Kansas City.
Now, the Gibson's in Chicago is hard to beat, but...
Yeah. And I will tell you that all the considered best places in Austin, I've had steak in all of them. They're all pretty good. None of them are great.
You're kind of dissing them then.
I am dissing them. But I had a friend that used to live here that we hung out, and back when both of us were spending money like crazy, we would do things like, hey, let's spend the next 2 weeks going to every high-priced steakhouse and then compare them.
Did you record it, though? See, if you would have been doing that, this would have been good for a podcast.
Oh, we did. We talked about it on our podcast. I used to do a podcast with them.
Just come out to Chicago. We'll do all the food places. We'll video it, and then we'll release that on YouTube and see if we can. You can at least write it all off. You can write it off because you're like, well, why
could
you
write it off? You could totally write it off. No, yeah, for sure.
You could go have that $1,000 meal and be like, but it was for the video.
As long as you had the intent of making money, that's the important part. You can't write off things that you had no intent to make money in. So I can write off all the ponchos because I had full intent of making money.
We know you made money on the ponchos, Gene. I mean, it was a big...
I lost money on the
big
ponchos.
Score. Even the ones you sold, you lost money on. That was the beauty of that.
I did. I lost money on every single one I sold, and I lost even more on the ones I didn't sell.
Well, of course, because at least the ones you sold, some money came in. It just wasn't enough to cover the cost of the...
Not anywhere near. This is what's so ridiculous is our sales price target when we decided to make these things, and it was a marketing dude and me that were doing this. Although I don't really blame him because, I mean, marketing is one thing. New product sales is a whole other thing, but we were targeting $19.95 for the price
for a 3-pack.
For a 3-pack, our cost for the raw ponchos for a 3-pack was $3. That seems like there's plenty of room in there to play with, right?
Surprise!
It feels like it from $3 to $20. That's like $17 worth.
Right, you're like, what are they selling for? What should we?
It's basically like a 6x multiplier. But here's what happens. First of all, okay, so it's $3 for 3 ponchos, right?
And Waythorn wants to know where they're made. China.
Yeah, of course they're made in China.
If you can find someplace cheaper than China, that's where they would be made.
That doesn't include shipping.
Oh.
And how much is shipping? Well, that's about $3. Okay. So shipping and with printing of the box that they come in,
which had mistakes because your partner was
mistakes because my partner was an idiot. Exactly. Good call. Well, we both checked it. And neither one of us saw the mistake. So,
and good thing Gene had a Sharpie to fix every box.
Oh my God. Thousands and thousands of these things got fixed with a Sharpie. I had to buy the Sharpie,
Right. Sharpies are not free.
The fat ones, this was a Sharpie that was the fatness of the whole line there.
Well, right, because you didn't want to have to scribble more than one line.
No, I didn't want to scribble. I just wanted one swipe and I'm done. Anyway. Well, the alternative would have been to just buy the product that's listed in there and add it to every box, which was more expensive. So now we're at about $6 cost. So it's like, okay, well, we're still like a 3X. Plenty of room.
Plenty. We're going to make money. Okay.
So you get to Amazon. Amazon takes about 28% off the top. So you're like, okay, well, it is what it is. That's like $5 off. That's now, it's the difference between the $6 that we're paying. And so Amazon would have taken about $5 off the top.
I mean, they made money on the
15, 6 to 15, right?
Right.
Okay. They have to get shipped I already paid for the shipping from China to my house. Now I have to pay for shipping from my house to Amazon. That's not free, obviously.
I mean, couldn't you just get the Bemrose to come pick it up?
Yeah, right. Nah, not when you're selling. Only when you're buying.
That's different. Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you think pays for that salary?
You.
So exactly.
So you are Bemrose's boss, basically, is what you're saying.
Well, I technically not in the same state, but theoretically, if somebody ordered one up there, he'd probably deliver it. Yeah. Anyway, so now we're down to like
very low profit margins.
What? $8 in profit, right around $8 once we ship them to Amazon. Okay, so now we're looking at about $8 in profit per box. Amazon has a charge for any products that don't meet their estimated minimal sales volume quotient, which is they say that if you sell X many products per day, then you can keep your products at our warehouse for free. If your products sell at a lesser rate than that, at slower sales, that's your problem, not ours. And we're going to charge you a fee every month for storage of your product.
And I bet they didn't sell very quick.
And they didn't sell very quick. I think they were fine in the first month, but then Amazon's charging another $1 for storage. And we start seeing more people with similar but not identical products dropping their price from $19 down to like 16, 15, 14, 13. I don't think I saw it a whole lot lower than 13, but it got down to $13.
It was probably including the nice people at the factory that made yours.
Oh, guaranteed. Yeah, because that's exactly right. And so there's like 4 factories that make these in China that get all the orders. Everybody else that can make them just would charge you more in China. So if you want to get them made cheaply, you go to the 4 factories that deal with the high volume Mylar. So anything made out of Mylar, there's 4 factories that do it in China. It doesn't matter where the end product is. They're the ones that have the cheap Mylar. So it gets down to a point where you're basically making, the equivalent of like $1 per sale.
And that's when Amazon lowers the price by $2 so they can sell them faster.
And that didn't happen for, I think 3 months. But after 3 months, I noticed that Amazon was starting to lower our price, which is a deal that you sign when you sell your product to Amazon, is that at their sole discretion, they can decide that your product is mispriced and therefore they can lower the price of your product in order to get sales moving. That's exactly what happened. And then when I realized that I was actually losing about $1 every single product, I just said, okay, we're done. This experiment is over. It has provided data. We can stop the experiment and I will just hang on to the rest of these damn things because it is pointless to pay somebody to sell the product that you have.
But you're going to have a great garage sale at some point.
I'm going to have Christmas gifts for the rest of my life is what I'm going to have.
Hey, I didn't get a poncho for Christmas.
You get a poncho and you already bought a poncho.
I know. I was okay.
You get a poncho and you get a poncho.
I'm one of how many people? We're talking like art and how much?
I know exactly how many of them sold. So I ordered 3,000 ponchos. I have about 2,100 in the garage.
Whoa.
So what is that? Like 900 ponchos were sold?
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of those,
and there were 3 in a box, right? So
that's a good point. So really, it's 1,000 boxes. So then, sorry, not 1,000, but it's 1,000 individual packagings, and there's 40 of those that fit into a cardboard box shipped from China. Yeah. So the 120 ponchos per box, basically, per container.
So would you do it again?
Yeah, I'd do it again. And not with ponchos, obviously. But I think, look, at some point, you're going to stumble on a product that actually surprises you by how well it sells. But I still maintain that a lot of this is just, it's not really predictable. It's more of, there's a large element of luck involved. There's also, like, if you do enough of these things, people that make good money on Amazon, they don't carry one product. They have dozens and dozens of products. Some do poorly, some do well. And in the end, it balances out enough to support them being able to continue selling the products. But if you look, dude, try going through last year's, although we're in a brand new year. So let's say, go look at your 2023 Amazon purchases, right? And then out of all the things you bought in 2023, see if you click on that link, how many of them are currently available?
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Versus showing not available.
How do you
Almost nothing is available a year later.
Oh, yeah. They disappear. How do we normally end these shows?
We don't.